Hi everyone, so here is Moonlight Soul and my good friend Adrienne Gibson from Just Kidding Astrology, and we are getting together for the first lunation of 2024 to talk about no other than the new moon in Capricorn. Welcome, Adrienne.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. This is the beginning of an exciting year.
Absolutely.
And I think there's lots to talk about. So
For sure. And as we spoke, this year holds the Saturnian Capricornian flavor, so there will be a lot of restructuring.
yes, absolutely. And a lot of learning to hold our own during this big changes coming, grounding within ourselves. So I think that this new moon is beginning that process for us.
For sure. And we've been talking about this for the entire 2023. So we've been just preparing for something and it's happening now. This is the year.
Yep, that's it.
Cool.
So shall I bring up our chart?
Yeah, let's dive in.
There we go.
Perfect. So this is for the Eastern time, 6:57 p.m. For me here is happening an hour earlier in a central, and January 11th, which is kind of a portal, isn't it? 11-1, and it all adds up to number 11 because three ones and number 8 being the year 8. So I think this is definitely a very divinely orchestrated lunation.
It's pretty wild. Yeah.
Take it away, Adrienne. Start
Well,
everyone.
we're still dealing with Pluto squaring the nodes, which is the backdrop. This is what we've been working on for quite a while now, where we're, learning to shift how we relate to the world outside of ourselves so that we can begin a new direction forward with the North Node in Aries. And it's linked to Chiron, where this is a healing for all of us to be able to get beyond this wound of having to link our movements and what we do in the world with the outside world instead of coming from within. And so Pluto says, essentially, this is the skip step. This is where we have placed the control of our lives outside of ourselves. We spent some time with Pluto retrograde, where we were really learning about how to take authority for ourselves, taking responsibility for ourselves. And now that it's been going forward, we're at the last degree. We've learned some inner responsibility. This is something that will continue with this new moon in a Capricorn. We're really going to start a new direction in this inner and outer expression of our own inner maturity, emotional maturity, responsibility for ourselves. And it's perfect timing as Pluto gets ready to move into Aquarius, where everything's going to break free. We have to ground responsibility within ourselves. Otherwise, we'll all just fly away.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's just like I was talking about in my videos, this is such a paradoxical new moon that is just like crazy. It's completely mind-blowing. And it's no coincidence that we have Venus as the ruler of the South Node, which is being squared by this lunation. Actually, this new moon is the skip step together with the Pluto. And Venus is trining Chiron and North Node. So, I mean, you can't make this up.
Right?
It's just because Venus gone through her dark night of the soul. She went through Scorpio. She was ruled by Pluto. Pluto obviously has been squaring the South Node for the entire last year as well. While Venus was the ruler of the North Node, and now everything is switching. This is the beginning of the end of the new, and the beginning of the end of the old, and beginning of seeding of the new, and everything is happening simultaneously. And that's what this chart is showing us very beautifully with all these paradoxes.
Yeah. One of the things that I've been focusing on for this new moon is the fact that Mercury is sitting right on the galactic center. And I think that's really important. All of the inner planets have made their way through, and in a few days, Venus will clean up and go through, and we will have this, each of the planets has had the download from the universe, linking us to our own inner truth, what spirit has for each of us to be moving toward. With Mercury there, it's a shift of mind. It's we might be experiencing just, a change of mind and an expansion in the way that we see the world. And that is, I think, helping this new moon. We have to be able to, as we begin this journey of embodying our sense of responsibility and our own personal discipline, and really gaining our sense of emotional maturity, which will lead to a resilience within us. We have to have a mind change that goes along with it. And so I think that is really key for what's going on. And, the moon and the sun have all been through the galactic center. We're all getting this new information. So I think it's definitely a point to be paying attention to, and to be aware as these times happen. I mean, even as we're speaking right now, a couple of days before this lunation, we're still beginning the downloads. It'll just be like right on the galactic center on the 11th, and then we'll continue for a few degrees to be getting those downloads. So during these times, we're looking for expansion in the way that we think.
Yeah, because Venus has the mutual reception with Jupiter, Venus being the ruler of the south node. And also, we literally just yesterday, we recording this on Tuesday, so only just yesterday we had the third and final square between Mercury and Neptune. And Neptune is the ruler of Saturn, and Saturn is the ruler of Pluto and of this new moon. So Saturn plays a very important role. So we can see how literally this describes perfectly exactly what you just shared, that in order for us to go in this new direction and co-create this new reality for ourselves, we need to change the way we think and how we perceive the reality. And this is why both you and I and some other people close to me agreed that this first week of January, it's just like we skipped, it was like a quantum leap. Like it just catapulted us into completely different reality, where the linear time and the life as we know it is literally is dissolving. Like it's happening in real time. And also with this, as I said, Mercury square to Neptune, we now know what it needs to be let go. What is it that we need to let go of? Because we had the retrograde, and Mercury has gone through Capricorn, which is the structure of our reality, into Sagittarius, conjuncted Mars in a retrograde way. And now it's going forward, and Mars and Mercury are going to have another conjunction in Capricorn. So it's like, okay, let's try again then, now that we know what we didn't know before. So whichever way we look at this chart and whichever planet we focus on, just as always, the planets are communicating, and they working together in tandem to pass on a message that is very clear. And that message is that this year, everything's going to change.
Yes, yes. And also, this back to this Jupiter energy and Sagittarius energy, they are, the same energy. And Jupiter's in Taurus and Venus is in Sag. And so this is what we call a repeated theme. And their trine, we're just we'll be coming out of the trine shortly. But this is an energy where we're aligning what we need within ourselves, our sense of self-love and our sense of meeting our own personal needs. That's taking an expansion, this
Mhm.
energy um, of growth in how we care for ourselves. I know for myself in the last, week or two, I've been ramping up my yoga practice and trying to get more rest and drink more water. And I think that this is the kind of energy that really is helping us to become more solid within ourselves. Because like I said, as we move into Pluto moves into Aquarius, things are going to break free, and we need to be able to ground ourselves
Mhm.
on the earthly plane. We need to expand. If we haven't been doing that, we need to make steps towards doing that. And there are two planets that are lined up with telling us the same thing. So I think that's an important message to deliver.
Yeah, and we have the Mars Saturn sextile, and also Mars trine to Jupiter, and Saturn Jupiter sextile. So they're creating like the roof. They're creating like the roof. And
I mean, really.
Jupiter is trining Mars. So Jupiter, Mars sextiles Saturn, and Mars is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is the ruler of the new moon. Saturn is sextiling Jupiter, and Jupiter and Mars are making a trine to one another. So this is telling us that it's time for us to adjust the way we are experiencing this reality, because Mars is now in Capricorn, which, as we had the discussion, to me resonate with the energy of the Emperor, because it's the time based on our experience and maturation, level of maturation, to take the responsibility to ground this knowledge, this Sagittarius, this wisdom that we accumulated through life, and put it into practice, put it into practical application, especially with the Jupiter in Taurus, to actually see yourself as the worthy person, and person that has the ability to create this which you want to create, because the essence of creation, these gifts you came here to offer, and also the whatever it is that you need to survive and to create that which you need to nourish yourself, is within you. It's within you.
Yeah.
You take it with you wherever you go. So Mars trining Jupiter, and now Jupiter is direct after its 4 months of retrograde in Taurus. It's encouraging us to redefine these stories we believed about ourselves, because Mars is closing to Saturn and preparing for their conjunction, which is going to take place in springtime, because that old cycle is ending, the cycle of the external authority. Saturn is in Pisces. Saturn is the ruler of this new moon, and is in Pisces, and Pluto is on 29 degrees, and Saturn is
Yep.
ruled by Neptune. So we have all these paradoxes going on. The
Yep.
old is not going to stand the test of time anymore, because Saturn is in Pisces.
Absolutely. Yep. It's definitely the time of great change. And I think this chart is really pointing to, I was noticing the finger of God configuration, where Uranus is the vertex and the south node and Venus. This is talking about breaking the patterns and accelerating beyond what it is, how we've cared for our bodies, how we valued ourselves. We're having to break that pattern, and we're going to be having crisis pop up with our relationships if we're not making sure that within our relationships that we're treated as equals, that we make sure that our needs are met within the relationships. And we've been talking about this for quite a while, how with the South Node that we tend to put our own needs second, and that is really going to have to change. So it's going to require some adjustment. And the other side of that in conjunct is with Venus. Again, we're going to have some expansion in the way that we care for ourselves. And so both of these energies, which are sextile to each other, are helping this breaking apart of the way that we have cared for ourselves in the past, and accelerating us beyond that. So I think that with this, I think that what it's pointing to is that as we step into our own authority in the future, part of what we have to pay attention to is we have to be able to care for our bodies and ground ourselves, because we don't even know what's coming for us. We just, know that it's something big and it's something different.
Absolutely. And I mean, we can see it clearly with Uranus making a trine to this lunation. Uranus is like, you're ready, you're ready. You just need to trust and believe in yourself. But the
Yeah.
interesting thing is that Venus rules both the South Node and Uranus. So this finger of both, the god is all connected to Venus, and Venus is in Sagittarius, and Venus is actually coming into her square with Neptune. So it's already active during this lunation. It's not exact, but it's already active within 10 degrees. So to me, Venus literally, like you mentioned yourself, that she comes to tidy up after the other planets. Literally, I can see this vision of like Venus carrying this garbage with her and just sweeping it, and okay, this is rubbish, let's throw it away and stuff. So I can totally see like everybody in Sagittarius that's gone through this like a, trying to see this new perspective and tap into this wisdom that came from the experience, is just passing on everything that no longer resonates to Neptune, because it's the crisis in consciousness square, and it's saying we need to shift because we need to liberate ourselves. So it's no coincidence that there is the yacht pointing to Uranus. Venus is the ruler of both of the South Node and of Uranus, and it's about this breaking free, the liberation. And also I agree with what you said about the physical body, because number 8 in tarot represents the strength card, which is Leo archetype, but also it represents the physical human body. That's at least how I was being told. So it makes sense that in order to go and follow your purpose, in order to go and be in the fire and in alignment and show up for yourself, you need to take care of this avatar, because Aries in traditional astrology, the first house represents physical body. So this really, if no other year before, this is the year for people to get their, act together in a sense, not being rude or not trying to be projecting onto other people. But it really is essential, because when things become so crazy outside of us, we need to be able to, neutralize and stabilize ourselves, and our physical health is an important aspect of that. So I feel that's
Absolutely.
very important.
Yeah, this is the Taurus archetype, dealing with the body and ensuring our survival. What, we likely could be, eating healthier if we're, eating too much junk food. Let's think about making some different choices, definitely getting some exercise, because when when these changes, Aquarius is really linked to Uranus, and there's just electrical change, and this can lead to anxiety and all kinds of physical ailments. And grounding ourselves during the time when things are wild, the need to place ourselves where we can just sit and breathe, drink lots of water, try to help neutralize this, frenetic energy that will be moving within us, and really learning to take responsibility for ourselves. And I think that's what this lunation is really talking about, that part of the journey between these nodes, part of the journey is to take responsibility for ourselves. All three of those planets are speaking to that. Saturn in Pisces is saying, we are dissolving the old way and we are laying down a new structure for ourselves. And this lunation is coming up and, making sure that we can begin this new way of becoming our own boss, really beginning with taking care of our bodies. We've got to take care of our body so that we can become these beings that are strong within ourselves and able to have resistance to the outer world, to the energies that are shifting. And so I think that it's really important. And as we step toward our North Node and Chiron, this is energy that can be a little bit anxiety provoking as well, because it's something we haven't done. And anytime you're doing something new, it's yeah, it can be a little bit scary. And, you know, having enough rest, drinking enough water, feeling strong inside your body by eating healthy foods and things like that can really help you feel grounded and anchored so that we can take these new directions forward.
Absolutely. And, you know, as we mentioned at the beginning, Venus is trining both Chiron and South Node. So now that we had the wisdom of the experience, and also with, you know, Saturn being the ruler of Mars, and Saturn being in Pisces and Mars being in Capricorn, we know what it is that doesn't work. Pluto, for the 15 years of his transit in Capricorn, almost 16 now, it showed us. And this year, it's all going to be dished out. It's all going to be coming up to the surface to see everything that needs dissolving. But also with the Mars in Capricorn, it's just like you said, we need to ground it and take responsibility, because by the time Mars get into Capricorn, that's like the time of the CEO. Is the time of what are we leaving behind as the legacy. And Mars, as the ruler of the North Node, is saying now is the time for you to create the life that you want to experience, the life that you want to have. And also with this North Node in Aries, it's about the new beginning. Chiron and North Node are going to have a conjunction on February 19th, which is actually right after both Mars and Venus had a conjunction with Pluto in Aquarius. And Mercury is having a conjunction with Pluto in Aquarius at the beginning of February, before the new moon in Pisces. So all these personal planets are starting a new cycle with Pluto in February. So, and that's obviously Pisces season, Aquarius and Pisces season. So what are we liberating ourselves from and leaving behind? Because there is no more hiding. We knew that there was no hiding because Pluto was squaring the nose this entire year, but Chiron is conjuncting North Node. So all this insecurity with regards to, oh, it's scary, it hasn't been done before, we have no alternative anymore. We have no other option just to step into the unknown. And that's why I feel that this external will just dissolve itself to the point where the unknown will be preferable. It will be literally preferable, especially once the Chiron North Node conjunction will have happened and we have the new cycle between the two. And then, of course, we have the Jupiter Uranus conjunction in April after eclipses. So there is definitely a lot that is going to take place between now and December 2024, when we have the second new moon in Capricorn. So this year,
Right.
this world is going to look very differently, I feel, in December 2024.
Yep. And yeah, for sure. Yeah, and by December of 2024, Pluto will be completely in Aquarius, never to return to Capricorn. And we won't see Capricorn energy like this for 248 years. So, and you know, this is when Pluto goes into goes into Aquarius, we see, you know, we see a lot of changes. This country started the last time that Pluto moved into Aquarius. And so what new is coming? What kind of things are we looking for in our future? Well, Aquarius has to do with you know, technology. We could be seeing an expansion in our technology. It has to do with electricity. I feel like, you know, the human body we are electric beings, water and electricity. And I think that, you know, the likelihood that we are going to be evolving in such a way that we can use our electrical bodies differently in a more advanced way is possible. So I just feel like the energy for me is very exciting. I mean, I try not to put any energy into the negative. I mean, if the negative things happen, you know, this is this grounding into the body that we're talking about. We to be able to survive what's coming for us, you want to be grounded in your body, but there's the excitement and the possibility, like, you know, you were saying, Mila, we have this opportunity to create our reality, to be co-creators of this reality. And as we are, each of us individually willing to make these changes in ourselves, we, you know, nothing's been written in stone yet for the future. A lot of it has to do with how each of us behaves in the future, and we can turn this, you know, universe in a direction that's helpful for all of us. And that could be the liberation that we're looking at.
Absolutely. And there are multiple things that came up for me with regards to that. Like, obviously, as I hope most people are aware, especially people watching us, we're not living in the same reality. There are multiple realities going on at the same time. So I am kind of tapping into the energy like we had during the pandemic 2020, 2021, which was for some people the best time of their life. A lot of people came in online during that time. I mean, we became awake. I know that was the case for me. I always been very like, you know, different, but I truly, truly had my full awakening. I call it the red pill moment, right, in 2020, and I feel now is the next wave, you know, and whatever it has to take on the microcosm, you know, on the external level, it whatever it needs to happen will happen, because I feel that now is the next wave of the rapid awakening, because I feel 2020 was the year of a rapid awakening. A lot of people did have their awakening, and obviously ever since everything's been accelerated. So for example, me sharing my story, astrology came into my life in 2019, 2020, you know. So I mean, like,
Same
everything
here.
that I do now I learned in these past 3 years, and some people can't believe it. There's like, oh my god, you know, some people been studying astrology for their entire life. But I don't feel that now it's about, oh, you know, like this Capricorn hierarchy, that because you studied something for 20 years it gives you the top notch or something, because we enter in the age of Aquarius, and it's about equality, and it's about how do we support one another to get to that point of individuation and authenticity and co-creation together from an empowered standpoint. So literally the spirit is available for everyone to tap into. All you need to do is remove the blockages and resistance to, you know, to become the channel, the clear channel for the energy to come through, which I think it's a lot to do with Pluto Aquarius, and subsequently Uranus moving into Gemini. Jupiter is going to go into Gemini this year, and it's all this very fast energy. And it's also like what you said, you know, like with all this electricity and stuff, like many of us know that the way that we are the main way how we are being trapped in certain state of mind is because the electricity is owned and limited. That's how we perceiving that which runs the world currently is owned and limited. But that is not the truth, because as you rightly pointed out, and I mean Tesla and all these theories, and the, you know, the unlimited energy that comes from the universe, and everything is continuously renewing. Once we tap into this, then people, you know, the power will is literally in your body, and it's always been there. And even what you said, I just wanted to say something with regards to what you said. We're going to co-create the reality. We've always been doing that. The difference is we're going to consciously co-create it, because our
Absolutely.
thought and our emotions will have been manipulated and misused to co-create a reality somebody else wanted us to co-create. But now people are going to stop leaking their life force and their energy, and they're going to put boundaries, Capricorn, emotional maturation, responsibility, and co-create consciously from the point of view, well, what do you want to experience? Because there are multiple timelines available to us, and that's becoming more and more obvious, especially as we shared in our personal experience with this quantum leap of 1 week in January, how crazy it's been.
Yeah, I mean, really. Really. It's things are happening so quickly just in this last, I mean, from the last time we got together to now, so much has changed. Yeah, I feel different.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited for this new leap forward is what I want to call it. We're being asked to take a step forward, to expand and grow and really step into ourselves so that we can do this co-creating. in a conscious way, like you said. And you know, we're all at different stages. Some of us will lead the way, and then others will follow, and some will be just unable, but will be pushed through because we're all going through the shift. There's no you can't stay where you were. That's not possible.
Not with Pluto in Aquarius, no. And then Uranus in Gemini and Neptune in Aries and Saturn in Aries.
Yeah.
That's all coming online within next 3 years, 2 years now, because we intend 2024. So yeah, so this is really the beginning of the of the end of the old and beginning of the seeding of the new. That's why it's a paradoxical energy that we're dealing with right here. But I feel, because a lot of clients ask me like, oh, you know, like, you know, because with these outer planets, they're not personal planets. They just create whatever needs to be created in order for things to take place. They don't not gonna put like their soft gloves on to do it, make it easy for us. So I always advise people that how painful or difficult that's gonna be, it depends on our level of resistance. Because
Yes.
because majority of people, and this is actually what I share with the client today, that by the time people have their so-called midlife crisis, aka Pluto square Neptune square Uranus opposition, which takes place between your 40s and mid 40s, early 40s, mid 40s, late 30s, mid 40s, about the time, most people by that stage in their life, they know what is not in alignment, because we all have our own inner guidance, our inner compass, and people know if that relationship is right or wrong for them, that job is right, wrong for them. Like they know, because hopefully by that stage they know a little bit more about themselves than they did before Saturn return. But if people are still in resistance with what they know, then this situation happen, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus take care of it, and then it turns our life upside down. And that's what I feel it's like now we're going through the world midlife crisis, which technically the planets are saying, this is what you signed up for. You knew exactly why you were coming here. We're just helping you along. So our level of resistance determines how painful it will be.
I agree.
Be here for a reason. Every single one of us chose to be here, even if this triggers people. Every single one of us has a free will. Therefore, if you're still here, you chose to be here for these times. And in a sense, it's a privilege, because the times like this hasn't happened like ever. And it's an opportunity for complete transmutation of everything that came before. Everything, not just your own trauma and past life trauma, but ancestor traumas, collective wounding. It's an opportunity for transmuting the whole lot. So I mean, this is a very unique time in a human history, and as difficult and challenging as it is on a conscious human level, like on the outer level, which of course it's an experience which we don't ignore because it's happening. We're still having a human experience. It's not about bypassing it, but also having hold both spectrum at the same time, the human experience and the higher perspective, that there is a reason, there is a purpose and meaning in everything that's taking place, even though it might not make sense to our brain.
Exactly. It's in alignment with the evolution of humanity is what's happening. And we are also going through these personal evolutions. And so, I mean, the resistance is definitely an important part. And I was just, you know, like I've said a couple of times, I've got Pluto sitting on my sun right now, and I know that everything is changing for me. And I've just recently in the last week, really, I've like, I don't know what's happening next. I know I'm coming to see you in 2 weeks.
No, by this point, next week.
Yeah, really, a week and a half. But I know that I've chosen to just be open to whatever happens. To me, that's the energy of what you're saying about letting go of the resistance. I'm, you know, it's like I don't have any fear about what's coming, and I'm willing to just go in the direction that I'm needed. And I'm not sure what that is, but that's going to unfold for me. But it's like this, it's almost like a leap of faith that you have to take to move this journey forward. We don't know the direction that we're going, but we do know that it's different than the direction we've been going for all of us, even if Pluto isn't sitting on your sun. But for
Absolutely.
me, it's sitting on my sun, and yeah, I'm experiencing changes in how I am going to be living my life. And so I don't know what those changes look like, but I am consciously letting go of any kind of resistance to what might be. And
Because you were born for this time. You are Pluto Virgo with Pluto Uranus conjunction in your chart. You were born for this time. This is literally what you came here for.
yeah, and who knew I wait this long to like get there?
The time is not linear, you know, so it's happening
No,
exactly the perfect time, because even a year ago you didn't know what you know now. So it's happening right
no,
now because it's
exactly.
perfect. And this is where we need to let go of this old Virgo low vibrational approach towards ourselves, where is the judgment, criticism, guilt, shame, you know, this indoctrination by the external Libra, by the other, that made us feel this way, because little baby doesn't feel that way about itself. It looks in the mirror and it kisses it. I'm sure every single person that had babies observed their little toddler kissing itself in a mirror. If they were
Yeah,
put in a mirror, they will kiss themselves. Why is that? Because child doesn't have guilt and shame for whatever they are meant to be lacking based on somebody else's standards. So this is where we need to let go of this judgment, self-judgment, because everything that we see in the world is a manifestation of what is unhealed within us, which is mostly this judgment, guilt, shame, criticism, separation.
yeah,
And this is why it's so present in our collective consciousness right now, because these are still aspects of ourselves that many of us are even subconsciously, you know, still running. And we need to catch ourselves and stop ourselves and question it, because this doesn't hold the space in 5-dimensional new earth that we are co-creating together. There is no space for these kind of things. There is,
no,
it's all about, you know, like heart consciousness and equality. And that's why this year is so pivotal. This world keeps flying in the ether. It's a pivotal year, because this year is going to show us all of it, what is not working and what needs to be done in order for us to move in this new direction, which, like you rightly said, it has not manifested yet. We know change is coming, we know it's inevitable, but we don't know what it's going to look like, which is what creates this fear. That, but I always say to everyone, if you don't see it in your reality, it's hiding in the unknown. Because if that's what you want, if it was in the known, you would have it. So if it's not there,
right.
it's in the unknown. So
Yeah,
let's just trust, because at the end of
yes,
the day, we are always supported, always.
yeah. And also, I think it's important to point out that when we make these changes inside of ourselves, make changes in the way that we treat ourselves, then it just automatically will reflect outward. We'll treat other people differently. So if we can
Absolutely.
treat ourselves in a loving, kind manner, then we will treat others in a loving, kind manner, and then the world will, because of what we're doing inside ourselves, we will reflect that outside of ourselves, and the world will change as we all make those choices. And I remember hearing about the awakening, that it only takes 50% of the people. I don't even know if it's that many of the people to make the outer world change.
I think less.
Um, I think it's less too.
Yeah, because the frequency of love and, you know, these higher frequencies, they have much more impact, you know, than the lower frequency. That's why they need so many people, you know, like a batteries, zap them out for all these lower vibrational frequency to make the same effort. But that was the unfinished thought which I was having. Literally, you just finished it, which, you know, when people heal this within themselves, this is what they're going to externalize into their environment. They're going to respond to outer world very differently. And literally, this is how we change the world, is one person at a time, because we are co-creating the collective and the collective experience. So suddenly people will not be, you know, giving energy into the things that are not in alignment. They might not even see them, you know, they might not even hear them. And I'm not saying they are not happening, but when more and more people withdraw their prana, their energy, their battery, their electricity from this, co-creating this which we don't want, then less of it will be co-created, and then eventually it will disappear.
Well, I
So it
love that.
really starts with you. And that's why when everybody, when, you know, we were being conditioned to believe that I'm just the one person, what change can I make? A lot. Imagine how many people you meet every day of your life, thousands and thousands.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
awesome.
as we know, Pluto is squaring the nodes, where by the end of the year, by the new moon in Capricorn part 2, is going to be trining the south node. So like as we were saying prior to recording, what changes will have to take place for that to be, that energy to be present.
Yep.
So I guess we shall see.
Yeah, I think actually the 13th of January, Pluto will end, the square to the nodes will end.
Yeah, yeah, because
We've had square to the nodes for a while,
yeah, like a year.
like a year, yeah.
Yeah,
It
like a year.
started off with Taurus Scorpio and
Exactly.
then moved into Aries Libra. So hopefully we're all resolving that skip step, which is the south node, you know, changing the way we relate to the outer world. And the way we do that, like you said, is to change the way we relate to ourselves.
Exactly. Exactly. Because everything starts with you.
Yeah.
And I can notice it even of myself, that the less I judge myself, and I lower these external expectations that I've been projected onto, you know, like, oh, by your age, you should be married, you should have kids, you should have this job, you should have this career, you should have this many followers, and all these kind of things, that I let it all go, just like you said, that we, you know, in a sense, I don't have a set expectations either. Like, it drives my parents crazy that you don't know where you're gonna be, you don't know what you're gonna do, how you're gonna make your money. And I'm like, no, and what? Like, I've been living like this now for a year and a half, and it all worked out. And actually, it worked out better than I could have ever imagined, because things that I couldn't even dream of, because universe is connected to everything, multiverse, you know, there is an unlimited amount of possibilities and potentialities. And our vision is very limited by our brain, by our human experience, which is beautiful, but it's limiting. We cannot see the whole horizon. So actually, when we let go, when we surrender, when we stop resisting, we might be very nicely surprised, and usually we are, but we had to get from A to Z through all these letters in between, which is why we're going through what we will be going through this year. But we know we're on our way. And you know, whether we're gonna see it in our lifetime, world without any war, and everything will be unity consciousness and heart consciousness, that I don't know, because we are co-creating it together, so it depends on everybody else, right? But
Yeah.
it's gonna happen. It's going to happen, and that is a guarantee. There is absolutely no doubt that it's going to be happening. It's already happening. It already exists. We just didn't reach that timeline. But yeah.
Yeah.
So when people think about that, you know, like, it's a guarantee that it's going to take place. Maybe not in our lifetime, but it's going to take place for sure. Then it's worth it. It's just like in old days when people were building bridges and motorways and whatever, and a lot of them never saw them finished. They did it for us, so we're doing the same thing right now for the future generations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for ourselves, because we are doing the inner work for the time that we have here on the planet, but it is laying the groundwork for the future
And
generations.
that's why we're multidimensional beings, because it's all happening simultaneously. Nothing is like the spirit doesn't waste time just you being linear, focus on one thing, and that's it. There are a million things happening at the same time, which, you being an astrologer yourself, we can always see in a chart. The soul is never just working on one thing. There
No.
are multiple layers being resolved at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, just like our bodies are doing multiple things at the same time. It's reflection.
It's perfect.
Yeah. Well, this looks good.
I mean, we have tons of trines. I mean, there is a new
There's
moon
so
in
many
Aries,
trines.
but we have so many trines, so many sextiles. So the support is there. Yeah, there
Yeah.
is the quincunx, so we can't see, but the
Yeah.
support is there.
Yeah. Definitely the support is there. Some squares. But you know, it's the Pluto, Sun and Moon that are creating the squares. So these will be short-lived, these squares.
Well, yeah, because Pluto is now, like you mentioned, 2 days later
It's
is
getting
going
ready to move, and the Sun and the Moon move pretty quickly.
exactly. So,
So we'll be left with trines, and that'll be nice.
well, yeah, the first full moon is gonna be the full moon in Leo. That's telling, because Leo is about your creative self-actualization. Is the opposition to Aquarius. Is to represent your unique, authentic self.
Yes. Yep. And that's what we're all trying to do. We're peeling the layers of the onion to get down to that golden sense of self, where we are unlimited in what we can do with our creative abilities.
Absolutely. And I mean, there is no coincidence that Mars is going to station retrograde in Leo at the end of the year when we have the second new moon in Capricorn. So that's what I mean. We're going to be completely, I don't even
Switch.
know what is the word, like not just
You know,
redefining, but the whole world is just going to be completely reconstructed. And then we
yeah,
have to find a new meaning because suddenly it's up to you. And then people sometimes like they think they want to be free, but when it's like, imagine like when you have it's like, we already talked about it, the Stockholm syndrome. When they open the cage, when they open the prison, people are
and they don't
afraid
want
to
to get
walk
out.
out. They don't want to get out. So that's where we at, like all these things will take place this year, and then at the end they say you're free. New moon in Capricorn part 2, and then Mars will have to go retrograde in Leo because people will be, I don't know who I am now that all
Yeah,
this is gone. I don't know who I am.
yeah.
So yeah,
But that will quickly change. Things will start to happen for us because Aquarius is acceleration. We are going to be accelerating through this year. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if this year zips by for us.
oh, for sure.
And really, they say this is a 20-year transit with Pluto through. Might be a quick 20 years.
Exactly. And like the more the technology is evolving and expanding, and all these new things are becoming aware to, like, we are becoming aware about them, because all of them been obviously around for a long time, we just weren't privy to it. So anyway, so when all this becomes accessible to people, and the more they tap into their own resources, like their own gifts and their own divinity, then the multiverse is the limit, not even the sky or the universe. The multiverse is the limit, because when you tap into the everything, then you are everything. You are everything. We just
Yeah,
don't. We just weren't taught.
yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I think that tells it.
We complete.
I
Any
think
last
so.
thoughts?
No, no. I just think that, what we've been saying. I think that this need to ground into ourselves is very important. I think that the need to allow the expansion of our thoughts and our the way that we treat ourselves, and also the paying attention to the resistance that you have to change, because change is coming. There's you can't fight against Pluto and Uranus. They're going to do their thing. So being open to the shifts, and really learning to ground reality within yourself. I think that those would be the only things that we could do at this point. Um, and as the opportunities open up for us, because that will happen in our very near future, seize the moment. Carpe diem.
Absolutely.
You
And
know,
I
this
just, yeah.
I was gonna say this North Node is, the Carpe Diem sign right there.
I just like thought came to me that it's interesting that we ended 2023 with the full moon in Cancer, because normally we have the new moon and then we have the full moon, you know. So for example,
Right.
normally it would be new moon in Capricorn first, then full moon in Cancer. Well, as we know, last year everything shifted because of the double new moon in Aries, and this year is going to shift back because of the 4 lunations in Capricorn. But what was interesting for me was that we ended 2023 with the new moon in Sagittarius as the last new moon, which is the seeding of the new story, seeding of the new direction. And of course, you know, that was trined by the North Node because Aries and Sagittarius. And then we have the Cancer, you know, which is about our ego identity, of course, in opposition with Capricorn, which is the structure. And to me, because the nodes had shifted during the new moon in Cancer in July 2023, it was like the door just got closed, you know, like full moon in Cancer, this is not who you are anymore, this is it, you know, like now you
Yeah.
have the illumination of who you were, this is who you were, it's not who you are anymore, it's who you were. And
Yes.
with the Sagittarius new moon, like we're going in a new direction, get ready.
Yeah.
And
It's
now
an
this year,
expansion. Yeah.
exactly. And this year is now then new moon in Capricorn, which is saying that, okay, well, is this in between, we dissolving the old and creating the new simultaneously, and full moon in Leo is the first full moon, which is like, well, we're going to seek our purpose. And then we having these 2 full moons in Capricorn, and in between them is a new moon in Cancer in summer. So this is why I feel that by summertime, especially with everything that's going in between now and June, July, end of June, July, we'll have much more clarity where we head in, much more clarity.
Wow. Yeah. 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 For sure. Um, yeah. I mean, people need to know what's happening, at least for them, because, you know, each of these planetary alignments are going to show up in different places in everybody's charts. And the need to understand how it is affecting you is, you know, something that we do. That's what we do.
Yeah, like for like about 6 months now, I always see the card of judgment in my third eye. Like it just pops up like in random
Mm,
times. Like literally that's what I see, this judgment, you know, these naked bodies standing from the coffin. You know, I know it sounds a little bit morbid, but that's literally where I feel we at in our evolution. Is literally this time of like pain of karmic debts, closing the old book, like end of tax year, it's like an end of tax year. And then that's it, we're getting ready for the new, because there is
yep.
nothing to hide there, we cannot hide from it anymore. It's like
No.
these naked bee people and answering the clarion call and said now is the time, which is why I feel so many light workers are coming online, so many awakened people you know, are answering the call and like, okay, what is my purpose, what did I come here to do? More and more people question, like they're trying to understand themselves, like, you know, like you can see through your work, I can see through my work. More and more people are trying to understand themselves so they can you know, like redirect their life in a way to uh, have the experience that they really came here to have, not just be a cog in a wheel, on a hamster wheel, and just keep going and numb yourself in front of Netflix, which I'm not saying there is anything wrong with that, but that is not the purpose of our life. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
you know, it's
Right.
part of the experience, but it's not the whole purpose of it. So that's what I feel like, this card of judgment just randomly pops into my third eye, and I'm like, yeah, this is where we at, this is where we at, you know, as a
Yeah.
human collective.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I can totally see that though. I mean, you know, I've been going through this period of time of I would call self-judgment and making shifts and changes within myself if I don't feel like I'm in with an alignment, you know, trying to grow and shed all of these past ways of being that haven't served me and that have kept me in this place of limitation and fear. I've been actively working on letting those things go, and I feel like that is what it is that all of us will be doing. All of us are on some level. But it's what's necessary to be able to step into the next phase.
Yeah,
Like
because
you
after
said, it's judgment time. We can't go through the doorway carrying all the baggage.
because it's the end of it. Because it's literally, especially I feel with the node moving into Virgo Pisces 1 year from now, it is
Yeah.
the end of the Pisces age. Like we
Yeah.
have the totality of understanding. Thank you. We had this lesson. We learned it. We need to pass now because after judgment is world, which is the complete end of the cycle. So the new cycle can begin. And this is where we at. The new cycle has to begin. So the old needs to end. And it's like, obviously, we know nothing ever dies, you know, it just transmutes, it changes the form. And that's why I always keep saying that it's a zodiacal wheel, because it just keeps in cycles. There is continuous
Yes.
expansion in place. It's like the spiral, right? Which is also kind of a circle. So like, you know, like when we understand, and again, this does not diminish or invalidate what people are having in their personal experience, and it can be very challenging, especially I don't know about your environment, but in my environment, there are a lot of losses. You know, a lot of souls are passing, are leaving the earth plane, and it's not easy. It's not easy, but when we focus that there are multiple layers to everything, like obviously still having the human experience, but understanding, like being able to hold both simultaneously, the experience of a human and giving ourselves the time to recalibrate grief, you know, whatever it is, be angry, you know, like scream, shout, purge, whatever it is you need to do, whatever is your experience that you need to do right now. But at the same time, holding the other aspect of it and saying, but there is a reason and purpose and meaning to all of this, because this is where we at as a collective consciousness. And I feel it can give so much more peace and
I agree.
acceptance.
Acceptance, yes. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that is, you know, I think that's the key. It's not like we can fight against it. We have to accept it. So
It's the acceptance and the awareness. I always say that acceptance and awareness are the keys to change.
yep. Awesome.
Yeah, it is. This is what we came here to do. This is what we were born for. So ready or not, here we come.
Kind of exciting.
Right. Lovely. So
Yeah.
Adrienne, as always, it's been a pleasure. Tell everyone where to
Yeah.
find you.
Yes, let me take that off. You can find me, I'm back on Facebook.
Excellent.
At Adrienne Gibson. Also Jess Kieran Astrology. I have a Facebook page there. I have a Substack account where I post my moon reports. Getting ready to post mine tomorrow. And soon to have a website. It didn't happen at the first of the year, but by the beginning of February, it should be up. So I will let you know by the time that happens.
So probably for the full moon in Leo, right on time to shine.
And yeah.
Right? Perfect timing. That's awesome. And yeah, for if anybody wants to connect with me, if you're watching us, then obviously you are on my YouTube channel. I hope Adrienne will start posting on her YouTube channel too, so you can find her there too. And yeah, you can visit my website for all my services and my offering, and also you can find me on my social medias. Moonlight Soul 369, that's where you find me. So thank you, Adrienne, and thank you everyone
Thank
for
you.
watching. And I look forward to having you here in Mexico next week.
I know, I'm excited.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you again next
Bye
time.
now.
Bye.